Hey folks, I'm going live in just about an hour where I'm going to be talking about ending the stigma around addiction. I presented a webinar last week where I talked about how myths and misconceptions fuel stigma, shame, and create resistance to prevention and intervention efforts, and ultimately keep people from getting the help that they need and that they deserve. And this webinar turned out to be, I get such a strong response. I'm actually hosting a live replay of the webinar. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the same presentation that I gave last week, but I'm going to be live in the chat, and then immediately afterwards, I'm going to come on camera for a Q&A session. In this webinar, I give an example of how an 18-year-old kid came to me who was resistant. He didn't want to talk about his substance use issue. He was adamant that he didn't have a problem. And after one session, 90 minutes, we ended up talking about the fact, I ended up saying at the end, I said, I think that you know that your substance use is a problem. He said, yes. And I said, I also think that you know, or that you think that you're not addicted. And he said, yes. And I said, I think you're right on both counts. But I had just spent a bunch of time helping him understand what it means to be diagnosed with a substance use disorder. And here's the big key, folks. That doesn't mean he's addicted or that he's an addict, but most people don't understand that. And the really key thing here, what I illustrated with him, we go through in detail in this webinar, is that the biggest myth out there, this is among substance users, this is among families, this is among mental health professionals that don't understand this, and it causes a lot of problems. Lots of people have this idea that there is a line that you cross over. On one side of the line, that's addiction, that's a problem, and we don't want to go there. And if you haven't crossed over the line, people think that that means not a problem and that we don't need to do anything about it. That's a misconception, and it creates all sorts of problems because we don't do anything about it. Some people continue to use it, and guess what? They progress, but there's not a line that you cross over. That's the biggest thing that I explained in this webinar. I'm starting at 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you go to my YouTube channel and hit notify me, it will send you a reminder right at the time that it's starting, and you can click on. This is a really important conversation, like I say, for both parents who might be concerned about young people's substance use and how do we address it. And it's important for mental health professionals as well, because I give some examples of some tragedies where mental health professionals drop the ball on a substance use issue that does exist, but they don't think anything needs to be done about it. And so I'm going to be talking about that as well. I hope that if this is something that would benefit you, I'll see you in an hour, 2 p.m. Eastern time. The name of the webinar is Addressing Early Stage Substance Use. See you then.